Welcome back, everyone, to the Anarchy Analysis series, where we are going to be covering XL versus SK in a full game cast. Oh boy, I'm looking forward to this one, especially with these two teams kind of being on the up and up in terms of their success. Now, last weekend, XL had a bit of a struggle. They dropped 2 games, whereas SK picked up 2 games and won them said matchups. And coming into draft here, surprisingly, people are thinking SK are favored. Now, bans that we're expecting to see here is obviously the Yuumi, the Seraphine, as well as the likes of the Silas, Lucian, possibly a Poppy who's been creeping up in priority during LPL games on 12-13. We're actually going to see Nart being removed out from the field, that blind pickable top that's just been coming in through and through. GP is kind of also available, so maybe we see SK banning that one out. As for XL ban-wise, maybe the Zeri could be taken off the board for them in a sort of response play, but as this happens, it's actually going to be SK who take away the Zeri. GP also hits the ban phase, which realistically to me leaves SK with a jungle first pick here. Maybe Viego, possibly even Wukong here, but Poppy could be a priority pick if this team is comfortable with it, as it is very strong. However, Renata is also left open, and SK are gonna go straight into this pick. Aurelia hovered right now for XL. I highly doubt it will be, though it is a thin pick that he has gone towards, but it hasn't found much success. Instead, it's going to be the Ornn. So, looking to just survive lane here, Finn. And that kind of gives up pressure to SK. And Genax possibly could go towards something strong in the top lane that could do some work. I know it's an old-fashioned pick, but the Camille Jace is open. What? That's a Janna. That's a shock locking for Mickey X here. It's blind picked as well. Realistically speaking, you would rather... Dunno. But that's going up against Renata. Let me just understand this matchup. Statistically speaking, you're going to look to try and survive the burst from the bot lane of SK. The likes of Kalista and Renata is a duo that we are seeing quite a lot of. And personally, I think that Janna kind of was the expected counter to this Kalista, and there's a Draven. Whew. That is a kill bot lane on either side of the rift. I favor the SK bot lane right now, with the bailout being there. It's going to be quite a strong bot lane for SK. Now, ban-wise, we should be looking at top bans, jungle bans possibly coming out from SK here, the likes of the Viego, maybe even the Lee Sin, Wukong, also available, but instead we're pivoting to the mid lane. Azir taken off map. If Corki does not follow, I am not going to be happy. Trundle banned. That is one of the big counters to the Poppy that we have been seeing creep up in the LPL. Just using that pillar on this champion just creates distance. And Poppy, surprisingly, does synergize kind of well into the Trundle pillars. She can knock people into them, but it also disengages at her. Now, SK-wise, I would look to see, possibly if they lock in an Ahri. Lissandra is also up and available for the mid lane. Either side of the rift could realistically go for these picks. Now, other role is the jungle for XL. They have got the ability to go Viego Lee Sin here on 4, and then force counter pick for mid lane on 5. SK wise, they're gonna have to reveal everything here, and top is possibly where I think they're gonna find some of their advantage, going into that on. Now, whether or not we see something strong as the Volibear comes out for XL, that's actually creating a lot of engage for this organizational lineup, as Diorn has the long range engage, Q locked down from the Volibear onto a target, with Draven throwing in a lot of damage from them spinning blades, and Janna also throwing in them Qs. There's a lot of long range engage on this XL lineup already, so SK gonna have to deal with a lot of poke. But what also gets a lot of long range engage is Silas, the ability to steal away the Call of the Forge God, as well as that Howling Gale from the Janna. That's a lot of healing because of the scaling with the AP that you tend to see out of Silas. It's now also the Shyvana locked in. That is a lot of damage and frontline for this SK lineup. They've got 2 tankier picks with the Bruiser in the mid lane as well. Yeah, I think SK is going to be quite hard to kill. As for XL, getting that Talia locked in is a nice thing to see. She's going to be able to kind of dissuade the Poppy. That's actually really strong. I actually like that pickup for XL. You're able to knock away or knock up and kill the Poppy and the Callistas, and hopefully keep XL in a strong position. What's more, I'm pretty intrigued by how these two teams want to go about it, because they both drafted fairly strong engage and also fairly strong teamfighting comps. There's a lot of bruisery champions on the Rift here, and a lot of survivability since the durability patch. Now, I'm realistically really looking forward to this game and how it's gonna pan out, because both teams realistically will be wanting to fight a lot. So maybe we see a level 1 here, maybe we don't see a fight till Drake, but I am really looking forward to this game, as pretty much anything could actually happen with a lot of explosivity. Now, looking into this level 1 as we're getting ready into the Rift, but we'll do that once we get into game. To Summoner's Rift we go. Let's get into the level 1 startup, shall we? We're actually seeing a fan of the Rift, only with the bot lanes sitting in lane. In fact, we could have seen a little bit of a skirmish there between the two bot laners. That being said, just going to be a standard back away. No deep vision actually set up. Other than a couple of wards in the river bot side, it's fairly calm on the Rift. Let's get into our actual summoners though. And I want to point this out already. It is Summoner Spellbook Talia. This is actually quite a big thing to know, because she's running the Ghost as her main ability, not Teleport. So she's going to be fairly mobile running across the Rift using the size of the walls, but there's no ability right now to get in behind champions. The things that we've been seeing in the LPL with Talia, being able to get behind, place the Weaver's Wall, and just section off fights, is not there and available for this XL lineup. Now, as for the rest of the summoners, we are actually seeing Summoner Phase Rush for that Poppy, who's going to be able to just run it down once she learns a few abilities, chasing down targets, while also having to deal with them Cyclones coming out from that Janna, who is running the standard Glacial Augment. Early game is kicking off, and we're actually seeing a lot of poke landed down onto this Calista in the bot side. this could be pretty interesting because he's probably going to get chunked out fairly early if more and more continue to land. Looking at mid lane though, fairly standard push being set up by Talia and Silas. Early game, you always favoured a ranged champion here. Silas, kind of hard to get in onto the waves, but what we're actually seeing though is Volibear stealing early game camps away, especially that blue buff, is going to be huge in slowing down the Poppy's play. But here's the Poppy going to flash forward and stun up the Janna. She's getting pulled back, and that is a lot of Summoners burn early on into the fight. 2 Summoners burn onto that Draven, and that just means a continuation of the jungle steal from Marcoon, possibly looking for an early turret dive. It won't work in my opinion here, and there's the ghost used by the Shyvana, but she is stunned up, locked down, first blood over to XL. Now, while we were panning over the ruins, I didn't actually notice this. First strike on the Ornn. You're kind of losing out on some of that tankiness to get more gold. I don't know how effective this will be on the Forged God, because stylistically speaking it shouldn't work, as Poppy making another engage here in the mid lane, just knocking back the Talia, forcing out the ghost. Lots and lots of summoners being burnt early here by the SK jungler, and possibly we could see him going into the bot lane for a repeat gank onto Patrick. Now, this game, looking at it from the long run, looking at late game, I feel that if this game gets to go late, it actually does favor SK slightly more. Although they do have the ornaments on the XL side of the field, you could realistically say Renata just having the ability to keep a champion alive in late game fights where they're so bloody, they're so quick, bursty, fighty champions on the Rift. It's going to be huge for this SK lineup, and I personally think it's going to be a bit of a difference maker when we get into those big fights. Now, I'm actually going to focus here onto Jazzu. After his day 1 performance against G2, you can kind of see how much of an impact he had on the Rift, especially with treats. 9-1-4, he was unstoppable on that Draven, and although he is not returning to said pick, he is on probably the next best pick at the moment in the Kalista for getting these big KDA games. Now, Marcoon returning back to the top side. Gilius is up here as well. Will we see the repeat turret dive as Ornn is here? That was a flash out from the Poppy. She is caught out. The Call of Forge God lands and Talia just rides on in and scoops up that kill. Also, I believe Poppy does have Hex Flash. Kind of the standard thing we usually see from Poppies. Just be the ability to appear out of nowhere, surprise, gank people. It's kind of important for her. But personally, wasting Flash like that to get away is a bit of a yikes. Unless it was Hex Flash. He burnt his Flash earlier. Why am I forgetting this? Because that just means he's forced into play as bot side cleanses are being forced out already. That's on cooldown as a flash forward coming down from the Kalista, chasing down this Draven. Spear after spear lands and just needs to be pulled out of his body as there's a kill over to Jezu as the flash forward from the Kalista was enough to secure that kill. It was not enough to get the second kill onto Mickey, who flashes the getaway safely. But looking at this as a whole, that is huge for the SK bot lane, who have just been stepping up alongside Certus to get this team wins. SK had a phenomenal early game against G2, and it is continuing as we launch into this replay. Just a great handshake to pull in the Draven closer into the spears as Bailout is just prepped onto Kalista, which means basically if you try to kill her now, she's just going to kill you and stay alive. So XL just tried to run away and get away, but the great flash out from Jezu meant that the stopping Hurricane was not able to land, and it just meant the chase down was guaranteed. That said, we are seeing Rift Herald being taken here by XL as Certus is going to go in as the dragon form comes out from Jezu. They have locked down Mickey X, who is going to be the sacrificial lamb to this play, and they're looking to give the kill over to Certus, who gets himself on the board. Herald goes over to XL, and what do SK get in response other than that kill? As bot lane is in a frozen position for both teams, there's nothing there, but Jezu is going to get some free time possibly on this top turret as Call of Forge God used to slow down the wave and possibly clear it out. But there's a turret play over to Jezu. He's not going to be pushed here as that is a hostile takeover coming through, but it is not going to land. And Finn gets away with his life and dances to show he does. But with a play in top side, we're going to see a response bot side out from XL here. They're going to pick themselves up the Hex Drake, as well as plates for themselves onto this bot lane turret. This is beneficial to a Draven who is just now starting to get more stacks, who lost quite a few with him dying. Now, Genex trying to clear out the Krug camp in the face of XL, but he's just being kept at bay by Mickey X. Now, topside, possibly we're going to see the turret trade here after Herald picks up the first turret of the game. Genex trying to use the Dragon Form to stop the second charge coming out from the Herald. It's decently low. He just needs to fire probably one more. Never mind, is it going to get a charge? No. Mickey's Hurricane would have been enough. He timed that a little better in stopping it from charging. Let's take a look at the gold for a moment. 1k in the favor of XL. You have to partially believe it's coming down to the turrets and objective control they've had early on here in this game. But SK, they're just playing the content game of just sitting back, trying to play safe, not being forced into a greedy action. And that's kind of a big deal for this lineup, who in prior weeks, week 1 through 3, struggled in the games they played. They got greedy in their matches and kind of threw away some leads here as Janna is going to get caught out. She's being locked up in the wall. W stops her from getting away, and that's a kill over to Certus. Great pick from the SK mid-jungle duo, just sitting in the brush ready as, Marcoon gets pulled back by the handshake, but he's just going to gallop away like the majestic bear he is. Now, top side, we're seeing a bit of a switch up. Patrick has come up from the bot lane. Obviously, the longer lane benefits SK a little bit as 1v1 coming out, as Certus gets chunked out very low, but the Poppy is here. She's looking to stop the follow-up. Never mind. Gilius, you're being ran down by 3 members of XL. He's just going to use that phase rush to get away. However, we're just seeing constant fighting as the Flash handshake forces a Flash out from Nuke Deck. Wow. So much action on the Rift right now, and I think SK are looking for more, even though Gilius is on a wall, but he's looking to run down this XL bot lane, who just dissuade this play. Now, bot side, fighting, coming out. Jenax has caught out Yorn, gonna go into the dragon form here, and just running him down. And meanwhile, top side, that is the Janna caught out, gonna be locked down by the Everfrost, and that's a kill over to SK's bot side. Call of Forge God is used, and Jenax is being caught out. Here's the second member from XL, as Talia is here. She's looking to get a kill, but she, in the end, is not gonna be able to. 1-0 here as a Welcome Death. Ooh. Nearly hits onto Jenax, but he's a tanky boy. It probably would not have killed, but, well, that would have been 30 CS on this Draven since his death, at least. So possibly that could have actually executed. Topside, Certus picking up more plates, almost going to get the last plate onto that tier 1. However, the gold difference has actually switched. That 1k gold lead we saw earlier in the game is now a 200 in favor of SK, getting these 2 extra picks since the last time, and also turret plating, which has just fallen off, is huge, especially now with Certus picking up that tier 1 in the top lane. The gold is even more in favor of SK. Checking in on items, we're starting to see some first items coming on board, especially with the Bork for the Kalista, which has just been gained. Supports probably a bit far off their first mythic, but the rest of the map are also online. We saw in the last fight the Everfrost for Certus being able to lock up the Janna and get some kills for the team. He's also looking to go to Zhonya's second, which is kind of nice. You look at this XL lineup, if he gets in onto them, he kind of wants to avoid the big burst out of the Draven and the Talia, who can just force him away. Let's be honest. The Whirling Blades from the E, pushing him back, as well as the Talia seismic shove, will just keep him away from the fight, even the Janna Q. So being able to kind of negate that, just go to a stopwatch, is huge. Now, getting here into the mid game, Rift Herald's going to be dropped down mid, kind of stand to play with the turret being very low. I wouldn't say it dies here, but it is actually going to die. Probably just enough damage to do that. Will it get a second charge? No. Now SK, I think, are looking to push the tempo here. Picking up the second turret for themselves, possibly looking for a pick here onto Nuke Duck, who is still aware that he could be in danger. He's stepping forward. Certus is just going to surprise. Everfrost is going to go white, but here is the big dragon. What's bigger than dragon? It's a bear, as the Weaver's Wall gets Nuke Duck away, but Marcoon is not going to fall either. Great disengage out from XL here in what could be considered a very sticky situation. Nuke Duck kind of expected something to happen, but with the safety of his jungler being there, he knew he could get away. Now, 3 minutes on the clock till the Cloud Drake. Probably SK will contest this one. They don't want XL to get Soul Point. However, realistically speaking, it is a Cloud Drake. And Cloud Drake being fairly weak on this patch, we can see teams just give it up, honestly. And that is better. if you're SK, getting onto Elder early benefits them. They don't get the same sort of scaling as topside. Marcoon is here, possibly looking to kill the Shyvana, who's almost got the transformation bar, but here's the rest of SK. Gilius and Treats roaming up. Marcoon and Nuke Duck gonna spot him out here. Certus is roaming up through mid lane. He's in a flanking position. Instead, he's just gonna back on up into SK's jungle, clear out some vision in the river, and SK reset across the map. Mind SK looking to fight here. Janna's Hurricane gonna force the volley bear. Great handshake out, keeps him away from landing that Q. We're seeing the members from both teams kind of huddling towards this mid lane as Flash knock up onto this Janna, forces Flash out as here comes Shyvana, gonna land a great ability as hostile takeover puts Draven and Janna into a sticky situation, but Ornn is caught out. He's forced Flash away as Weaver's Wall comes through to dissuade the SK lineup from going any further. Now with the fight, no one dying, that favors Certus. He's just killing off that tier 1 turret in the bot lane. Slowly but surely, SK are picking up eco as not going to be a steal onto that red buff. However, Poppy is here bot side. Nuke Duck could be caught out. Instead, just going to back away with Drake up in less than a minute. Securing the Scuttle Crab for SK is more important. It gives them vision, immediate vision, over the Drake pit, and XL cannot do anything about it. Now, vision control right now is huge for SK, as that was a Whirling Death coming out from Patrick. He's not going to have that ult for the team fight, but instead he is just going to be able to clear out the mid lane. That's a bit of a huge thing, as they going towards Baron. Draven could do fairly good at this, but instead that tier 1 turret looks to be the prize for XL. It isn't that low, and they are looking to just give up this Cloud Drake to get a bit more immediate gold onto Patrick. Traded turret overall here in this play, though SK I think are more beneficial here, getting the Drake on top of it, stopping the Drake stack, adding another 5 minutes onto this Drake win condition for XL. It's always good. Plus, with the smite readily available for Poppy, who wasn't taking that Drake, she's able to secure for herself the top lane scuttle, meaning no sneaky XL play on that Baron. And honestly, that is huge for them, because it's certainly looking like it's only the only play XL can make here, is they're falling further and further behind. 1k now is the gold lead in favor of SK, whom I personally think are in full control here. Sure, the Draven is stacking up them adoration stacks, but if he doesn't get to kill, he is kind of stuck here as Poppy almost got out, but the W is going to force back the volley bear not being able to launch and stun up this Poppy, who is just zooming around the map. Now, looking across the board at items, 2 items on board with the Draven as a lovely Whirling Death stops Jezzy's back, whom I think is going to go back, buy that shield bow, and possibly get his matching 2 items. There we go. Now, other lanes, we're seeing 2 items in mid, and also two mythics on the board. Never mind, mid lane, we're going to see an engage as a hostile takeover rains down onto the XL line. That's a full member to knock up as Shyvana flies on in onto the volley bear, who gets taken low and low, but the Hurricane is just going to keep his team alive. Mickey X doing wonders as the teams are very low. Weaver's Wall gonna section off the SK mid and top lane, but there's nothing gonna happen here as both teams all make it out alive. Bit of a skirmish here in the mid lane, but nothing really gained. In fact, summoner-wise, nothing realistically burnt on the XL lineup, whereas Certus burned his flash, so did Genax. And personally, I think that's a bit of a favorable play for XL. Getting summoners out of SK is huge, and keeping yours is even better. Now, looking at the gold right now, I think the big place we need to look at is the mid lane. Genax up 1k on Nuke Duck. Pretty huge. And that's because Silas has just been sitting off in side lanes killing turrets. He's not playing the lane game. He's just been looking for turret plays, keeping XL at bay. I'm so used to watching that SK G2 game right now and how dominant SK were in that. But yeah, SK fully in control here, stealing away jungle camps from XL. And there's no real contest as Certus is behind. There's a flash forward coming out from the Poppy, locking down Mickey X. And that's a rampage for Certus as Shyvana has caught out Nuke Duck. Call of Forge God was stolen away. It's going to force Nuke Duck into a sticky situation as here is Certus to clear him up. What a big fight coming out from the SK mid laner, getting himself to an unstoppable state of play as SK transferring up to this Baron. TP is going to be out from Finn, who is looking to contest this. He has got Cold Forge God for the long range engage. He's also upgrading Patrick, who has the ornament online. He's going to be throwing out a lot of pain as a handshake comes out from Renata, who is not going to be able to get into the pit, as that is Baron over to SK, who are up considerably now after that one pick-off. Now, Drake is up in 20 seconds. XL looking to contest this. 4 members alive down here. Nuke Duck making his way downtown. Gonna clear up that mid lane, which is a big thing to point out. It's such a long lane after SK took that mid-tier 1, so it's very hard to push the wave out if you're XL, and you cannot contest this Drake as SK have the Baron buff. They're already beginning their siege in the mid lane, and tier 2s clearly in their sights. Finn could be caught out here. Said just going to back it up. Ornaments, though, we need to talk about this, are coming online. We see the Total Eclipse, or the Syzygy, as it's actually called, online for Patrick, who is going to be packing a hell of a punch if he's able to throw out them spears. Not spears, they're axes. As SK sieging heavily onto this bottom lane tier 2, they're going to secure this with 4 members. It's a 4-1 sort of setup out from SK as they pivot to this mid lane. That's going to be tier 2 falling as Callista left to take this on her own. Instead, Gilius actually, though, is going to pick that one up. Bounties coming online for XL here. Kind of upsetting as Hexflash being channeled. That is Gilius coming in. He's locked down. Nuke Dot, he is caught out as Call of Forge comes through as the hostile takeover hits onto 3. That is going to be Certus going dominant over the XL lineup. And he managing to get away is Finn, having to burn almost everything. As for Draven, kind of been neutered this game. He still has all his summoners, but the rest of his team are just being punished. Especially Nukeduck, who's been the prime target for Gilius's Poppy, just coming over that wall, locking him down as Genex came in for the wombo combo. As we watch this again, Hex Flash channeled, boop! Hi, Talia! Knocked into the wall, smited. Genex comes in dragon form. That hostile takeover actually hit onto 4. That angle was so dirty, but it was designed to kill off Nukeduck. In the end, Mickey falls, as he was just caught in the middle of all of SK's burst. Now, I feel the game will probably slow down a little here. With the Drake coming up in 2 minutes, Baron has fallen off of SK, whom have built themselves up a 6k gold lead. They're realistically either going to get a pick and then end the game, or they're going to wait it out for a Drake fight, pick that up. So either the game goes an extra 10 minutes, or we're going to see a pick, which we could see right now as a Volibear ult is hijacked by Certus, as a flash coming out from the Poppy is going to force a disengage, as Genex just launches himself over the wall. The dragon form just is going to fire out them flamethrowers. Certus quite low. Realistically speaking, this should be XL favored from now on, as a Hurricane gonna catch out Genex, but there's the redemption, keeping all the HP bars on SK top. Certus does have the Stormbringer, so XL gonna have to back it up. He can just pop that, make that turret useless, and XL knew they had to back it up, as SK get themselves a tier 2 turret in the top lane. Now, looking at the clock, minute 30 on Baron, so we're expecting SK to realistically secure that on spawn. Let's take a look at the back to see what the SK lineup picks themselves up. That's gonna be the Lord Dominic's onto the Callista, whom is looking to shred through the big beefy boys in the Volley and the Ornn. As for the Certus's Silas, he's just picked up 2 big, needlessly large rods. He's on his way to that death cap, and that's going to be a huge pickup. As Titanic Hydra picked up for Gilius, kind of tells you exactly what he wants to be doing. He's just using the extra movement speed from these Cloud Rifts, build that charge up, and then flash over the walls to land an absolutely big knockout onto whatever carry he catches out. Now, vision-wise, XL have nothing past their kind of baseline, let's be honest. They're giving up this Drake to SK. They should realistically use this time, secure vision in their red buff jungle, and get maybe a bit of wards into the Baron pit, because right now their own red jungle, there's at least 2 wards in there belonging to SK. They've got that very deep ward behind that could be a TP ward for Certus, but instead they're just going to get that red ward here, can clear out that control ward here as XL back away to the mid lane, and Baron is live on the map. If this goes down, it's almost doomed for XL. They're walking forward, clearing out vision. It's well and deaf, gonna land, stop the vision. That's the Hex Flash forward, coming down from Poppy, trying to lock down that Ornn, but there's a Stormbringer getting forced out early as the hostile takeover forces 2 flashes out. Call of Forge God looking to re-engage this, though. That is going to be the Weaver's Wall. Just sectioning off SK, but nothing's going to come from it. That's a lot burned from XL. 2 flashes onto Nukeduck and onto the Ornn. Yikers, as we're going to see a continuation. That's Call of Forge God stolen by Certus. He's locking down the carries of XL. He's getting in as that's a flash forward from the Volibear. Not even going to do work as the stopwatch is forced out here, as that's the first kill over to the Callista. And that's the jungler dead for XL. They have no way of contesting this Drake. They should back up, run away. But Certus, he's keeping them interested. He's baiting them as that Drake, as the Baron is falling below 1,000 health. That is taken and secured by SK. And that is almost certainly it in the book for XL. Now, Baron is on the board right now for SK, as Deathcap is picked up for Certus. He's already doing a lot for his team right now in terms of damage, almost picking off Mickey in that last fight with Call of Forge God. And he would have probably secured it if he had that Deathcap. Now, the march at the siege, the win for SK is in their sights, as they're forcing the waves into these inhibitor turrets and or the inhibitor in the mid lane, as that's the caught out by an Everfrost. He isn't, though, very tanky. He hasn't got too much MR, only the force of nature, as we're seeing the push on 3 lanes. SK going 1-3-1 with bot lane's wave crashing into the turret, same time as the top lane. Certus going aggressive, gonna steal away the Talia's Weaver's Wall. That's actually pretty interesting because he can section away XL from the turrets. He can do a Talia to Talia now, and that's kind of huge because he's gonna walk down here to the mid lane. He can step forward here, use the wall, and there, boom, Patrick forced to flash because he got stopped by the wall. Top side, Inhib is almost certainly falling to these Baron minions as Poppy knocks away the Draven. That almost means this mid lane Inhib falling. As Call of Forge God forces Certus to flash away, as here comes the dragon, and here comes SK looking to fight here, as that's a first kill of the fight going over to the Draven, but Certus, he is in the backline. He's supposed to stopwatch though, as Kalissa just firing in the spears. Meanwhile, in the bottom side of the fight, Genax is going to pick off Nuke Duck. That is almost certainly it, as here comes the rest of SK taking down the Inhib. TP going to come in back from Certus, who's looking to clear this top way to get a push in, as a handshake pulls back Patrick. He is almost taken out. He should go back to the fountain to keep himself alive, but as here is the re-engage from XL, as the Stormbringer is going to come forward, but he is taken out as Certus picks up one. Shiv picks up another. Here is Certus. He's getting the double kill, and the fountain is where Patrick lays, as he is unable to carry his team to a victory, and SK pick themselves up a vital win on their hunt for playoffs. What a game from the SK lineup, as realistically speaking, they neutered the XL bot lane. Janna and Draven realistically were unable to do much, as the rest of the map kind of also was neutered. Gilius constantly targeting out Talia, not allowing her to fight. Draven unable to pump out enough damage to kill off the carries when this happens, and that just means that the fight is almost guaranteed to be going over to SK. Nothing more can be said or done, as that was just a perfect demonstration of the strengths of 12-13. Poppy used perfectly. Shiv coming in and just decimating, and Certus's Silas stupidly clean. He was pretty much, I think, he was on Legendary. This was perfect game from him, as he just demonstrated the clear strengths of Silas on this patch. And personally, I am really looking forward to seeing how SK blossom as we head in towards playoffs. thank you very much for joining me for this full game cast. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new under if you want to. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.